So let's move forward to that. Let's talk about some of the undo features. We've done something, we like to undo it. Back to the software, let's look at some of these features. First of all, undos. I'm already on a payable account here. You guys see I've purged it. Remember, I can look at the details from the show purge details. Okay, they'll show up in gray. There's nothing I can do with them. All I can do is look at them. But if I needed to make some changes, then what I would want to do is select the undo last purge. Okay, it's going to give me a statement. The last purge was performed Thursday, June 29th, and there are 2 transactions that will be restored after the undo. Are you sure you want to undo this? I'm going to say yes. Okay, the 2 transactions will be restored, and now they come back. Okay, so you can see these items are now back on the screen. If I decide I really messed up, maybe I did something wrong with this payment, then I have the ability to go in and now I can delete these payments now that we've, processed these things. So highlight your payment, select delete. Okay, the payment's gone. I know what you're going to ask, what happened to the bank account? Okay, I probably should have shown you that before, but the payment or the check entry in the bank account has also been deleted. So when you delete the payment, it's going to delete it from the screen, and it's also going to delete it from your check register. So that's your undo last purge. You could go back in, do your reconciliation, and correct the mistake you made. Let's go to a payable account. I made my payment. I now decide that I need to look at some of the details. So I can look at them. Remember, I can't make any changes, and those items are all background highlighted in gray. And if I need to fix something, the best way to fix it is undo your last purge. It's going to give you the same information the last purge was performed on, the amount of transactions that were in that purge, and I can say yes. Okay, those 6 transactions will be restored, and if I wanted to, then I could go in and virtually do whatever I wanted to do. If I want to delete the payment, I can do the delete on the payment, acknowledge, and it's gone. So now you're seeing some of these deletes. I probably maybe should have rearranged some of the presentation. Sorry about that, but at least you're seeing these things take place. Remember your show, which allows you to view, or your undo, which means it's just like an eraser on the end of a pencil. Okay, erase what I did. I know what my mistake was, and I want to redo it. Another thing I have to tell you guys, which I didn't make a note of here, but I'm thinking, okay, if that payment that I made had been reconciled in the bank account, the payment cannot be undone. What I mean by that is if that payment that I wrote here, okay, or the payment that the customer made had already been reconciled, then it's not going to be able to be deleted. But we've got a trick for that too. So if by chance I deleted that, or not deleted, sorry, if by chance I reconciled that check when I was doing my bank reconciliation, guess what? I've got the ability to go in and undo the last reconciliation. Just like the payable and the receivable account, it's going to come down and show me the details, okay? So I don't really know that I need to do it. I think everybody sees how that works now. So you always have that ability to undo the last bank reconciliation, okay? Another undo item that we want to talk about, which is probably used quite a bit, and that's going to be a deposit. Most everybody, either at the end of the day, the next morning, some people do it twice a day, some people do it once a week, will go in to the banking cash drawer, and they will look at processing the bank deposit. So if I wanted to do that, I'm just going to walk through a real quick deposit here. So here I'm going to reconcile my incoming money for the day. I'm going to process a bank deposit. Okay, I'm going to select all. Okay, and I'm going to go down to checks, select all my checks, my MasterCards, and as you guys know, you can open these details up and you can do them one at a time too, if that's what you prefer. Okay, so now I have all my subtotals listed. Everything's good. I'll go to the next screen, what's my deposit date, what's my bank account. There are some overages and outages and retained cash, so I usually keep $100 in the cash drawer to make change with. Okay, I'll go ahead and make my deposit, and it's asking me, do you want to print a copy of this? I'm assuming most of you do. It's just going to waste a piece of my paper, so I'll just process it, and now I've reconciled my cash drawer. That money was all deposited into this bank account, okay? And right here, you're seeing the deposit I just made. $629, this was a deposit for cash, check, MasterCard, and Visa in the amount of $29.84. All of a sudden, I realized, oops, I made a mistake. Okay, I told a couple of these customers I would hold their check for a day or two or something, whatever went wrong, doesn't matter what it is, highlight the item, okay? From your right-click option, select View Details. You also have View Details in your ribbon across the top, so however you like to get to it. Here are all the details of that deposit, all the individual summaries from your action button, Undo Deposit. We're going to always ask you to acknowledge. Okay, that deposit went away. The money's back in my cash drawer, so I now have a chance to redo my deposit. Okay, so just keep those things in mind, that these are some of the undos. Okay, another undo that we have in here, which I think people take advantage of, I know one friend of mine does, is payroll entries. Okay, so let's just say we go in and we make our payroll entries and we find out something's wrong. Maybe I did a wrong deduction, forgot a deduction, forgot overtime, regardless, again, whatever it is. Select here the item, and what you're going to do from the payroll is select Search Payroll Entry. Here you would identify, because hopefully it'll only be one, but if it's more than one, you can only do them one at a time. I can't undo the whole payroll. I can only do a paycheck at a time. So let's take Betty an example. So I'm searching a payroll entry. Identify your dates, and you have lots of dates to choose from, or you can even set in a custom date. Okay, so let's just say this or last month, doesn't really matter. Do a search on it. So here, Betty, bookkeeper, got 2 paychecks last month. You see your period start, period end, the amount, and the pay date. On this check, we want to see the details. So what we do on this is select View Payroll. Okay, and that brings up the payroll entries for the check that we wrote on 5/31. So here you see all the entries. Okay, at the bottom left, Undo Payroll Entry. So if I've made a mistake, just like all the other undos, erase it and then do it again and do it correctly the second time. So I can undo the payroll entry. Here we're going to ask you to enter a code, 9869. Okay, just so that we can track, you know, if you called us up and said, what happened to that payroll entry, we'll be able to track that down. Okay, and if we undo that, oops, an error occurred when deleting the payroll entry. Here it's telling me why it's not letting me do this. Everybody take a look right here. Payroll liability has already been remitted. So what the software is telling me, that these source deductions, as we call them in Canada, or payroll deductions in the US, have already been remitted. And these are some of the things we were talking about earlier. Okay, I didn't even think about this because I did a payroll remittance, but no big deal. I now know what the problem is. Okay, so what I would have to do to fix this, I'd have to go back a little ways, and what I'd have to actually do is go back into a search payroll remittance. I'm going to do this for my payroll agencies. I'm going to go to here, Receiver General. I'll do a search on that, and here's the remittance that's causing me the problems. That's why I can't undo the payroll entry. So in order to fix this, I'm going to have to undo the remittance. Okay, so here's the remittance information. We'll select Undo. 0942, and we'll select OK. Okay, so that remittance is now undone. And as we've explained, the check for that, if I wrote a check on that, is removed from the bank account. So I have the ability to undo a payroll remittance. And now if I go back to Betty Bookkeeper, okay, and I want to undo this entry, I might need to do a refresh on this, but let's just see. It should probably go ahead and pick it up. Okay. Oops, sorry, wrote the wrong code. All right, we'll say okay. The paycheck's undone. So one thing I'd encourage everybody to do when the software pops up a little message like you saw a while ago, take the time to read the message. Okay. I mean, I've had customers say, well, my computer keeps crashing. Well, what message is it giving to you? It's just like a customer that walks into your shop and says, my car's not running right. You know, well, is it brakes or does it start? You have to dig through some of these things. So read those messages. Okay. So we have the ability to undo payroll entries. We have the ability to undo payroll remittances. We also have the ability, while we're here, to undo a tax remittance. So if we've remitted our taxes, and here I'll stay with Canada Revenue Agency, so I'm going to search for a previous remittance. Okay, here's one that I processed. I want to review or view the remittance. Again, here are the details of that, and I can select undo. Okay, again, I'm going to have to enter a code, 5978. To undo that, and that tax remittance has been undone. So if I go back to my tax summary, okay, we're going to see those monies back in here. Okay, so there they are. And then I would reprocess. Most likely what I'd want to do if I had to undo it, because there was a mistake in here somewhere, so you'd probably want to go ahead and fix your mistake and then redo your tax remittance. So undo allows you to undo these things, and then where there's a mistake, and then redo them properly. Think of it just like an eraser on the end of a pencil. Let's make sure we've covered all the undo features. Undo the last purge, okay, and show purge transactions for your payable and receivable accounts. From banking, bank account, undo a deposit. From taxes and payrolls, undo a payroll entry, undo a remittance for the payroll liability, and undo the tax remittance. And then from banking and or credit cards, undo the last reconciliation. Okay, so watch for your undos because they'll help you if you've made an error in entry. Okay, next screen is release the work order deposit. Let's talk about that for a minute. I don't really know how many people take advantage of that, but it's a nice feature if you needed it. I have a customer here, Jane Doe, that wanted some repairs done on her vehicle. And she said, while she's here today, hey, can I give you some money against this right away and then just pick up my car this evening? And I said, sure. So to enter a deposit on a work order, you would normally go up to the envelope, which gives you the date, the amount, the description, and how the customer made the payment. Now, I've already got a deposit. Jane gave me a deposit earlier, so I'm going to use the lower part. Does everybody see how this highlight changes? This is what we call a split button. So if I go to the bottom side, I get a show all, and here I see on the 27th, Jane gave me $100 using her MasterCard as a deposit against this. For whatever reason, you guys have your own reasons for doing this, okay, but here she's given me a deposit. Let's just say Jane has changed her mind, okay? So she's asking me, can you credit my MasterCard, or, can I get my money back? And I'm going to say, you bet. So I'm going to take that deposit and I'm going to select release. So it's going to ask me, what date do I want to release this? If by chance I did this yesterday and I was too busy to post it, I can post this back to yesterday if I wanted to. How much money am I going to give her back? So I can give her all of her money back or part of her money, okay? And then I need to enter a description. Why? So we know why are we giving her deposit back, okay? Whatever, just put a note in there. How are you going to give her her money back? So in here, she originally paid me with a MasterCard. So I'm assuming you guys can go to your MasterCard machine, sweep it, and process a credit. Or, however you want to give her the money back. It's all here. You can reach in the cash drawer. you want to give her back cash. Probably not a good idea, but you could do it. You could write her a check. If you select bank account, you're then going to be, here, let me just do it. If you select bank account, then you're going to be prompted, the earliest deposit $100 MasterCard, are you sure you want to release it using a check? Let's say yes. So it's now presenting me with all my bank accounts. I would select the bank account on the next screen. It's going to ask me, do I want to write a check or how I'm going to give the deposit back? So I'm going to back out of that because most likely what you would do is you would take Jane's credit card and you would run it through as a deposit. Okay, so I'll just post the release in the same method. Okay, ask me if I want to print a receipt, to give her a receipt, and then it posts that entry. So we have the ability, if a customer's given you money as a deposit against a work order, to release is what we call it, or refund that money. Okay, so that's simply done from the work order. Select the entry, select action, release. All entries will be itemized in the bank account in the cash drawer under the specific method of payment. So all deposits coming in, all deposits released go into the cash drawer so that you guys can reconcile that.